What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be jumping into DM North tribute runs. So for those of you who do not know, I did get my hunter to 60, got him some gear, got him banned, but got him unbanned, and so now we are ready to go back into farming instances. And so specifically, hunters can make a ton of gold from DM North farms in multiple different ways. And so I wanted to make this video to showcase exactly how I do that personally, so you guys can do it as well. This is gonna be a very easy strategy for beginner hunters to pick up. It's a safe strat that's pretty easy to replicate. It takes about 15 minutes to actually do the run, so it's not gonna be the fastest strategy. You can do it faster, but it is going to be safe so that you don't need to worry about messing up each time. And you can do it with pretty much any spec. So it's really nice. We're going to be jumping into exactly how to do the run. And then we're going to jump into how to make the run actually clean and clear for people who want to come in and get the buffs, which is very important if you want to sell the buffs themselves because they won't need an invisibility pot. Then we're going to go into how to actually make money with this farm. So there's multiple different ways, as I said before. And then we're going to go into the gear and the talents that I use and some recommended gear that I have for you. The things that you will need for this farm, though, is minor run speed on boots, of course, frost oil, thorium widget, large thorium blast, and then iron grenades or thorium grenades. But outside of that, you should be good to go just with your regular gear and things like that. And you can do this with low gear. So it's a low requirement, very fun run for you to do, and a very, very passive income source. If you guys are enjoying this video and you want to see more hunter content, more mage content, of course, and you want to see more videos like this and live content, check out the Twitch link down below, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into the video. Okay, so we're gonna get started here with the overall DM North run. So this is gonna take about 15 minutes. It's gonna take anywhere between 6 to 10 minutes to get to the boss, and then about 5 to 6 minutes to actually kill the boss. As soon as you run in the instance, though, you wanna be really quick, and it's good to have a fresh instance because of the pathing. You want the pathing to be really good. So what we do first is we scatter shot that first mob on the right, jump up onto the wall, and then keep on running forward here. Now I wanna point out one thing, and I'm gonna be pointing out things as we go. This wall has a lot of spots that you can run up onto. So you can jump up onto the left side, the right side, you can jump up straight at it and mount up and get up top of it. But you can see here that we kind of just jump onto the wall itself and then you just jump up to the top. There's gonna be some mages on the left, so you need to watch out for the mages. If they are casting, wait behind this pillar for them to finish casting before you can continue to proceed further. Once you come around here, these mobs right here, you're gonna want to iron grenade. And so iron grenades are going to be necessary for this, or thorium grenades, whichever you'd prefer, but iron are going to be a bit cheaper. You nade them, run around the side, and then you line of sight, and then you feign death. So line of sight blocks aggro. And so line of sight is going to cause it so that you won't aggro them. You get back up, you jump up onto this ledge right here, and you keep on running forward. This is why having a fresh clear is very useful. All the mobs are going to be in perfect spots. And so here, we can just go straight for the box, open up the box, and we can get the key to this door. Now you're going to see this pack right here on the right with the mage and 2 dogs. Those guys could potentially aggro, but our goal is to get right over here to this right, whatever you want to call this pillar, without aggroing any mobs. Once we get right past it, we're going to turn to the left, run over to the other side. That is going to cause it so that we don't aggro the mobs on the right, jump onto this ledge, jump past it, and go right through the door. Once we're through the door, we want to immediately summon our pet. So we haven't had to use our pet yet. You can use your pet earlier if you want to, but I recommend not using your pet yet. Summon your pet here in the corner and put him on stay. Now here's a trick that you need to learn for this entire thing, and it's the stay pool. So you put the pet on stay, you aggro a mob, and then you cause your pet to go back to where he was before. And so there's a macro basically that just says passive, and so then he goes right back to where the stay position was. So as you can see here, I'm going to tell the pet to go in. I'm going to pop sprint with the pet. Always recommend having a wolf or having a cat or something with sprint. Run back. I use howl here, so that's another benefit of having the pet with either a cat or a wolf is that you can use howl. Howl gains aggro of all the mobs, which means that none of them are going to be hitting you, which is very nice. You will also notice that if you do this way, this very quick when you go in, the Wandering Eye will be right in this path. Kill it real quick with an arcane shot and an auto shot following, and it will die very easily. Wandering Eyes, if you do not kill them in time, will spawn Void Walkers. The Void Walkers are a major pain to deal with. You can solo them, but they're a major pain to deal with, so you don't want to have to deal with them. Kill the eyes. Much easier. Kill the eyes, go over to the side, and then you're going to feign death. Your pet, as you can see, got out of range, and so he auto-despawned. So that's the nice thing with the stay strat, is that if you get the mob, or if you get your pet far enough away from you, he's going to despawn every time. Now, before you move on to any section, you could technically go right now, but I like waiting until 15 seconds on feign death is left, or around 15 seconds before I start. That allows me to make sure that feign death is going to be back up. And so here we pop sprint again, aggro the first group. Now I did not have Howl up because I accidentally had it on auto from raiding. And so I scattershotted the other guy right there. Not a problem at all though. As you can see, the pet despawns because we aggro this group and then we told him to go back over to the first group. Then he despawns and then we get over into this corridor right here. And so that's a combination of using stay for the first pool and then using him to target a second group so that he's out of range and doesn't die. If your pet dies though, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure you have enough food to make sure that you can heal your pet as you go. Now these scarabs, or these spiders, I always say scarabs, they're spiders. People do them differently. I like to kill them now. Some people like to kill them at the end. It's whichever preference that you have. But the reason that I kill them now is that I don't like to deal with them later. So what I do is I put down an explosive trap. I aggro the, almost said scarabs, aggro the spiders, let the wolf hit them for a bit, pop a rapid fire in my berserking, and then I use my volley, do some damage to them. They're going to run towards me, hit the explosive trap, and then you can either use a grenade, feign death, explosive trap again, or just feign death, explosive trap again, and then grenade, whichever you'd prefer, but you're going to see them blow up very quickly. So I put down the explosive trap, let the pet run in, use Howl to make sure that you get aggro of all the mobs. Fortunately, they didn't aggro on me even though I had it on auto. Pop all the cooldowns, pop volley, mobs run towards us, get hit by the explosive trap, I feign death, I throw down an iron grenade and another explosive trap, and they all die. So you can see here I did 1k DPS. Like, you can quickly burst them. Hopefully your pet doesn't die. If your pet does die, res him and whatever, and you'll be good to go. From there, I like to bring my pet over here into this corner to make sure that he despawns. I heal him up real quick and put him on stay in this corner. That way it makes sure that when I go up the ramp, he's going to despawn. Put the pet on stay and then go out here. Before you go past this room, you want to kill the eye. You want to make sure that you kill the eye. The thing you have to worry about in this room is you have the guard itself padding through here, and you also have the eye. So the eye comes through here, pass around like this, and so does the guard. For the guard, you're safe right here as long as the guard isn't looping his way back around. He could potentially aggro you, but if he's coming out here, you're safe to stay right here, and then you can go past him as we do here. If not, just chill back in the room before. It's better to be safe than sorry with this. And so you can see the guard go out here. I wait behind the wall. As soon as he passes, I go forward. I'm going to scatter shot the one that's closest to me. I'm going to concussive shot the other one. And then I do see the eye, so I kill the eye real quick. And then I get to a feign death spot. So concussive shot, scatter shot, see the eye, arcane, auto shot, kill the eye, wing clip this Reaver just because he was on top of me. Go over to right behind this wall and feign death. Now, as far as positioning on this wall for the ramp for the feign death, you want to make sure that you're past pretty much this bottom point of this ramp. Now, the reason being is that depending on your height with your character model, you may be able to aggro these mobs. But if you're out of line of sight, you will not. And so you can see that because we're right here, we did not aggro these mobs, which means that when we go for the feign death, we're going to be completely safe. So we feign death here. And now as we can see, we can just pop up and we're good to go. Now what you want to make sure you do is if the guard's going to pat back, stay in your feign death because you don't want to accidentally pull him. But now you want to put back on Cheetah, get some mana if you'd like, and wait for the feign death cooldown, and then pop your invisibility pot. Now I'm using the major invisibility pot because it actually was cheaper than the lesser invisibility pot. Made no sense, but it was, so I bought it because it was cheaper. But then you just run up this ramp, jump up to the top side here, and you're good to go. As you can see, there's 3 seconds left on my invisibility pot, so I would have had enough time to get to this corner and be perfectly fine with lesser. We summon the pet here, put it on stay, and then we put a frost trap on this ramp. By putting a frost trap on this ramp, we're going to be able to slow the mobs. And so I have my pet run forward. My pet will aggro these two in the corner right in front of the door. He's going to run back. He's going to get them to run over the frost trap as I'm going to the door. And then those mobs are going to be slowed as I blast open the door with large Sephorium charge. That is something that you do need for the runs. And then we're going to be good to go from there. So you need large Sephorium charge. If you want to make this a safe strat, you're going to need thorium widgets and you're going to need frost oil. But as you can see there, the pet despawned again because he got far enough away. The frost trap slowed up the mobs long enough. I probably should have waited a little bit longer before I started my run or put the frost trap a little bit higher or something just to make sure that they were slowed. But overall, it was okay. Now I'm going to wait for a little bit for feign death cooldown and I'm going to aggro the next group. Now again, I'm going to put my pet on stay so that he runs back to this position. I'm going to send him in to aggro the Reaver. As soon as he gets close, I'm going to pop my sprint, run him back with the pet passive macro, pop my Howl to make sure that he gets aggro of all these mobs because he used an AoE ability, run past this little corridor, and as long as you had him on stay, you're going to be able to feign death right here, and the pet will despawn, and you'll just be good to go. So now I pop up, and I don't like to spawn my pet immediately with a summon. Sometimes there's a slight bug where if you spawn him too close or too early, he potentially could still aggro the mobs from while they're running back. It's happened to me before. I have no idea why, but it happened. Now this next part is going to be a pet death unless you want to get complicated with the pool, but I like to stay safe. If you want, you can aggro the next pack to the left and then pull the pet all the way back to this warlock, but if he gets dazed along the route, he's going to be screwed. So I like using the safe strat. It's one pet death, you know, cry a tear for your pet or something like that. But he dies, but then we can res him up. And so now we res him, make sure you feed him and get mech mana before you go to the next pool. But so far it's only been one pet death. We're 6 minutes, 30 seconds in. It's a pretty fast clear, while at the same time making sure that you're not wasting a ton of consumables and being unsafe. We're being completely safe with this pool. It's very, very easy to replicate. I know we're going pretty faster here just from practice, but break down each individual pool and take your time. The very first time I went through this, it took about 30 minutes for me to do the actual pool itself, just because I took a really long time at each spot just to make sure I knew exactly what I was doing. And that's perfectly fine. There's no need to rush this. At the end of the day, you're probably selling buffs, and so it's perfectly fine not to rush because there's nothing that you need to rush for, because eventually you're just going to be selling the buffs. But now that we got the pet back up, we got him healed, we send in this pet with stay, put him right back. Now here is something I do a little bit differently. I howled late there, which was unfortunate. But what I actually like doing here is I like to actually multi-shot these mobs. And so I kind of messed it up there, but as you can see by multi-shotting, I actually get aggro the mobs, then I run away, and it actually despawns the wolf without him dying. So if I did that a little bit cleaner, I would multi-shot a little bit earlier, but obviously the pet howl kind of caused some issues. But I'm able then to multi-shot them and keep my pet alive, which obviously makes the pet happier, and you don't need to waste some food. But now I target these mastiffs. So here's where things get a little interesting. Some people like to start the pull immediately, and they don't like to kill these mastiffs. I like to kill these mastiffs. These mastiffs are going to pat all the way around the circle on the inside, and then they're going to run down. They're going to take a wide route along the outside, and then walk back up and do like a big figure 8, basically, as you can see them drawing on the minimap. Their entire pathing takes about 10 minutes. So in theory, you could kill the boss in enough time where you don't need to worry about them if you wait for them to run off the platform. So if you're just going for a speed clear, go ahead and do that. However, they also could be a major pain. If you do aggro them, it could potentially kill you. So I like just killing them beforehand. So what I do is I come over here to the side, make sure that I put regular abilities on my bar. Now this is going to be very, very important for the actual kill itself. I have a lot of abilities that have macros, right? So I have my aim shot, which has an auto shot component, so that the auto shots, multi-shot, same thing, and serpenting, the same thing, and a pet attack in it as well. You don't want your pet running all over the place. You don't want to accidentally auto shot early or anything like that with these pools, and you're going to see why on the Ogre King. So what I recommend doing is putting just the regular spells on your bar, feign death to put down a frost trap, mark the guys, and then I just go for the obliterate. Kill. If you want to, you can cut them up onto the pathway that we'll teach you in a little bit with the Ogre King, and that's another thing that you could do if you're having issues. But personally, I don't find it too hard to kill these mobs. Even when I was doing this in blues, it wasn't too bad just to kill the mobs themselves. But if you are having any difficulty with it, feel free to use the kiting strat, and that works as well. What I like to do is run them over the frost trap. We're able to kill one. I wing clip the other two, run away, run back over the frost trap, go for the multi-shot, and then we just pretty much just take down the mobs real quick and easy like that, and it's never really too much of a problem. They do hit pretty hard though, and they can also put this tendon rip on you, which does slow you, and they can rend you, so they can do some damage. So if you need to do the kiting strat, do the kiting strat. It's going to take you an extra 30 seconds, but it's going to save you from dying, so it's going to be 100% worth it. Once you get them down though, go behind this pillar and then feign death. So here's something you need to learn. These spirits are all aggressive until you kill the Ogre King. That means that if you're in the open here, if you're on the left side of the pillar, right side of the pillar, anywhere else, you're going to aggro them and you're going to go into combat. So if you want to eat and drink, you need to be behind a pillar. If you just want to drink, you can actually be to the left side, and you do not need to be behind a pillar because you can still drink while in combat. Well, you drink before you get in combat, but then you can still get mana while you're in combat. Food, however, will stop ticking if you're in combat. So as you can see here, when I go out into the open, I'm automatically in combat, even though I don't actually have any mobs on me. So that's something you definitely need to watch out for. But we then run up the pathway with our wolf, and we're going to use our wolf to pull the boss. Now this strategy is really nice and really easy once you get the hang of it. I recommend just practicing kind of strategy. Don't worry about trying to kill the boss too quickly when you first get started. It's going to make a lot of sense once it kind of clicks for you and you're going to be good to go. But I put my pet on stay back there just so that I can quickly summon him back over here because he takes a little bit of time. Run around this corner and then Eyes of the Beast. We're actually going to use the pet to pull the boss. And when the pet then has the boss aggroed, we cancel Eyes of the Beast, but then the pet's out of range so it automatically despawns. So then we can summon it and comes right back here. It then has aggro, which means that every time that we feign death, the boss and the mage, which could also be a mage, a healer, or a shaman, which can also heal, but like a priest, mage, priest, shaman is basically its 3 affixes, will have aggro on the pet too. So every time we feign death, they go back to the pet. Every time we're alive and we hit them, they come back to us. And so you basically just kite them back and forth just like that. So we put the pet on stay up here after we aggro. But here, we run over, we sprint, jump over the side. Then we're going to go ahead and pull Gordok, run just past him. We're going to feign death, pet despawns, summon him. You can see these back in the corner. So we're going to heal him up. We're going to put him on stay. And then we're going to go start with the actual kill itself. So now to do the kill, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to feign death while I'm on the top route. You can see that now King Gordok and his associated mage are now facing towards the pet and trying to fight the pet. So we're going to run up along this side path, wait till they get decently close, and then we're going to open up with all of our max damage on King Gordok. If you do not hit the mobs, they're going to keep on running towards your pet. So you need to make sure that you hit them. But you can see that you can use aim shot and multi-shot there really easily just to gain aggro of the boss. And then you can also see that this mage, you can also aggro. I recommend having a Viper Sting macro. Now this isn't necessarily important on the priest, on the mage, but on the priest it is very important, and shaman as well, because they can heal the boss. And if they heal the boss, it's going to take a lot longer. So a Viper Sting macro just means it's a real quick macro. I'll throw it up on the screen, but it's basically just target the shaman healer, which is just Cho, and then always name after that. Then cast Viper Sting, and then target last target, which will more than likely be King Gordok, and then you're just good to go. But then we feign death, and as we can see here, the mobs are running back to the pet. Make sure that you start hitting this mage again before he gets to your pet. You can also use concussive shot on him. He can be CC'd, but the boss itself cannot be. The boss also runs very, very fast, which means that you need to be very cognizant about his positioning so that you don't take too long to hit him, or else he could potentially go hit your pet. But I like to get off the aim shot, hit him with the multi-shot, get the serpent sting going on him, and you can also see that I'm sending out the pet. Now the reason that I send out the pet after him is he actually charges the pet and then stays there, giving you an extra couple seconds to get off shots. And so you'll be able to see that again in a second. But now you can see that the mage is down here. I feign death again and go right back into a drink. One thing to be careful about with the feign death is that if you're too close to King Gordok, or if he's on top of you, he could resist. And so I don't have the improved resist talent. You can have the improved resist talent if you'd like to. I don't have it, and so it's a 4% chance that he resists me. Not a big deal at the end of the day, but there is a 4% chance. Regular mobs only have a 1% chance, but King Gordok would have a 4% chance. So if you get the feign death talent, he only has a 1% chance to resist you, even if he's on top of you. The line of sight, however, and max distancing King Gordok does really help, just to be able to make sure you get off feign death. And as you can see, I'm not going to fail it at all here, just by using the line of sight, and we're pretty much good to go. The mage, however, does keep on running back and forth because it's a line of sight with Fireball. Fireball, I can't really talk today. What's going on? With Fireball, allows him to basically cast, but we can just make sure that he gets around the side of the pillar. But you can see here that I just wait for King Gordok to get close again, aim shot, then Serpent Sting and multi-shot him on the way down. What a lot of other people like to do as well is they like to Serpent Sting him before they feign death. That way when he's running back, he's also taking damage from the Serpent Sting. That is something great that you can do, but it's not of high importance. You don't really need to worry about it too much because it's not a massive amount of damage. Once you get more comfortable with it, it is something you could do though. But you can see there that Chill Rush did get close to me because I was not in a good line of sight position for him. And so he just ran up to me. So that is something you need to be cognizant of, but you should be fine. Again, King Gordok runs back, aim shot and the multi-shot Serpent Sting. But you can see that we are going to have to shoot the Cho'Gall guys separately. You can see the charge back onto the pet there because he got all the way around to the pet. It doesn't do much damage to him, which is nice. So the charge itself only does like 200 damage. So your pet's not going to die from the charge, but it does cause the boss to take a few extra seconds, which means you get off a little bit of extra damage. And then we just run behind the pillar, we feign death again, and we go for the drink. Takes us about 5 to 6 resets to get down the boss each time. A little bit more if it's a priest healer or if it's a shaman healer, the priest is kind of the biggest pain, but it's not too bad. Overall, the run takes about 15 minutes to get down, and then you're ready to actually make some money, and so that's what we're going to be talking about right after this. But the King Gordok, as you can see, is getting pretty low. One thing I did forget to mention until now is that you want to make sure that you don't chase King Gordok too much. If you chase King Gordok too far, what's actually going to happen is your pet's going to despawn, and then you can't feign death because there's nothing tying the boss to your position. And so then you would kind of have to reset the boss or just kite him around to get the kill. But as you can see here, I'm going to use a pot and just get down the boss. And as soon as I get down the boss, Chill Rush is no longer aggressive, so we're good to go. But make sure that you don't run up this path too far. If you go past pretty much this pillar, your pet will despawn because you can see that he's way back there. It's okay if he despawns though when you're going for the kill, because now everything's friendly because you are now the king of the instance basically. And you can see it took 14 minutes, 52 seconds. You can go get your loot. And you can see that it's going to be 2 blues. Sometimes you can also get like a Ace of Warlords or something like that from the boss. There's other things that can drop. Not too bad. I think you can also get, you can also get the books. You could potentially get 4s off the boss. He has a pretty decent loot table. Now, before you go talk to the king guy, what you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure you go over to this guy and actually talk to this mob over here. That is going to allow you to get 1 extra piece of loot in the chest. So every single time, no matter what, after you kill the boss, make sure you run over to this guy, talk to him, just go through all the motions, and then 1 extra piece of loot will be in the chest. You then go back to the smaller guy in the front here. Don't ever kill the mage, priest, or shaman, by the way, because you'll get less loot. Run over to this guy, talk to him, and then you get the ogre tribute chest. And because more people were up, more captains and things like that, you get more loot, and now you're good to go. And so you'll be able to get 3 pieces of loot, and we'll talk about how to make money in that from that chest and from selling the buffs in just a second. Overall, though, for the actual pool itself, make sure you're taking your time. It takes a little bit to learn, but it's not too bad. But make sure that you take your time. Make sure you learn how to do the pet stay and then attack strat, along with attacking one group and then attacking another group while you run forward and feign death. Every 2 hours, the Reavers are going to be respawning. These hyenas that we just killed are going to be respawning, and the scarabs are going to be respawning, so you need to watch out for those for your group. But outside of that, it's pretty easy once you get it down. Good luck, and let's jump into the rest of the video. Okay, so once you have the full clear, you actually have to go back through and clear the Reavers. Now, if you do not want to make it a completely safe run for the people, if you want them to use an invis pot, you don't have to do this. The Reaver strategy is if you want to make it so they don't need an invis pot, and honestly, a lot of them really like it. So while you still have the king buff, run down here, and then you're going to need a thorium widget and frost oil. When you come over this right here, this broken trap, you click on that broken trap, and then that actually allows you to use the frost oil and thorium widget, turns it into an actual trap, and it traps guard slipkick. So that's the very first thing. Now he is frozen, so he's no longer going to bother people when they try to run through. The second thing though is these Reavers. So these Reavers, the eyes, and the scarabs that we killed before, all respawn. Now if you wait to kill the eyes, if you wait to kill the boss until the eyes respawn, then they're going to be friendly, so people don't have to worry about them. But typically that takes waiting for like 20 to 25 minutes just to be able to kill the boss. It's up to you depending on when you're clearing. Right now for this clear, for example, it was already 17:20 or 5:20 p.m. So I'm like, okay, a lot of people are going to want buffs. I'm not going to wait for those eyes, and they can just kill them along the way. They only have like 400 health, so they're really easy for any class to kill. The Reavers, on the other hand, are a bit more of a pain. The Reavers will be aggressive. While you have the king buff, though, they will not. So what you need to do is you either need to have them use an invis pot, as I said, or log out and then log back in. That will get rid of the actual buff for the king buff, and you will now be able to attack them. So now there's 2 packs of Reavers. There's this one, and then there's one up in the corridor up above, and so we're going to be running over to that. Make sure that you have your pet out, because your pet needs to have aggro, and then what you're going to do is you're going to aggro these Reavers, and you're going to use the wolf howl to gain aggro of the mobs. Now if you don't have the wolf howl, you can probably still have aggro the mobs just by having your pet out, but it is still a risk. So maybe you just have your pet hit them once or something like that, just to make sure you establish that with them. It should automatically establish that since the pet is out, but I have had a bug where the pet was out and it still just reset the mobs when I feign death. So I like using the howl. It gets aggro the mobs. It's pretty easy. But you kite up these Reavers. Now I like waiting up at this ramp for a little bit for the Reavers to run up the ramp. One reason is I can start doing some damage to them. Second reason though, and probably the more important reason, is that if you let them get too far behind, they're going to be so far behind the other Reavers once you engage with them that you're going to have to kind of work to get the groups stacked. You want these groups to be as stacked as possible so that you can use multi-shot to take them down real quick and easy. This is the second Reaver pack right up here, so we swap over to Aspect of the Hawk, or you could use Aspect of the Monkey for the dodge. You're going to go ahead and scatter the close one and wing clip the second one, and then you can concussive shot the one that was scattered or something like that if you'd like. But now you can see that we have all 4 of these Reavers aggroed. We put back on Cheetah, we pop our wolf pet Hal so that he generates aggro with the mobs because he buffed us, and then we keep on running through. Now what we're going to be doing is the same exact strat as we did for the Ogre King itself. So we're going to run up along this entire ramp, get up to the top, and then once we're at the top of the ramp, we are going to go ahead and use our pet kind of as on stay again, feign death, have the mobs run back and forth, kill them real quick and easy. If you want to kill them while you run up, perfectly fine as well. It's real easy to do damage, but it is kind of a pain to kite them around the entirety of the area, doing damage to them, but that is another strat opportunity that you have. But this I find is much, much faster as far as killing them goes. So what I like to do is up here, I like to use sprint on my pet to make sure that he keeps up with me, and I don't actually feign death right when we get to the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pet on stay, and then I'm going to jump off the side. Now, the reason I do this is that if I was to feign death right now, it's possible that before I could get aggro on the Reaver again, he would start hitting my pet. Now, I was pretty far ahead of him this time, but a lot of other times you're not going to be that far ahead of them, so it could happen. So I recommend just jumping off, and then when you get down here, once you're comfortable, then you go for the feign death, and then the pet has aggro, and you're good to go. Now, the one nice thing is that the spirits are no longer aggressive. So when we were going for the boss kill itself, the spirits were aggressive, putting us in combat, and so we had to go either behind the pillar or just not eat, so we couldn't eat. So if you take any damage, now that they are not aggressive, you're actually still able to go ahead and eat and drink. One thing also to watch out for, as you can see, the far Reaver on the right is actually running towards us already. That is because sometimes the Reavers are linked, and so any aggro that you do to one Reaver could potentially aggro the other Reavers. So I just go ahead and I concussive shot him, I scatter shot, and then I go ahead and concussive again, just to kind of give the other Reavers some time to catch up to him, so that when I go to the feign death, they're a little bit more stacked than before. But here we're going to go for the feign death. Just like before, there is a chance that Reaver could resist you. It's a 1% chance, but hopefully it won't, and you should be good to go. From here, drink, feign death, rinse and repeat, kill the mobs, back and forth. They're real easy. Once they get down to about 20%, they start running a little bit slower. Swap over to Royal Seal if you want to, since Devil Star is on cooldown because you won't be in combat, and it's real easy to get them down. And that's as simple as it is. But now you have the guy frozen, and you have the Reavers taken care of, so there's nothing that anybody else needs to worry about for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe outside of the eyes if you didn't wait for the eyes to despawn before killing the boss. All right, so here's how we make the actual money. So first off, throughout the run, obviously as you saw in the loop before, you're going to get a ton of major mana pots, major healing pots, food, water, etc. It's going to replenish the cost of the actual run. The second thing is that as long as you open the chest the proper way, you're going to have 3 items each time. Those items can sell from anywhere from 0 gold to 30 gold. This Tarnished Elven Ring, for example, has 1% hit on a ring with 15 agility, so it's very desired from rogues and warriors and hunters. And so this is going to be something, and enhanced shamans. This is going to be something that, and feral druids. All right, it's warranted by a lot of people. You know, a lot of people like it. So it's going to sell for probably about 30 gold on most servers. Some servers it might go for 40 gold, maybe as high as like 60 gold, but 30 gold is pretty much the price that I always throw. And so I have a buyer on the way to buy it right now. There's also going to be 2 other items. Now, if those items don't sell well, so for example, we have like the Redoubt Cloak, and then we have this Barrier Shield, which is okay, but it's kind of hard to sell in general. I recommend having Disenchanting for that. Disenchanting these will turn them into large brilliant shards every single time. Large brilliant shards right now are about 4 gold a pop on my server, but they're going to go up in price. So if it's a weapon, obviously you don't want to disenchant that, because a weapon's probably going to sell for more than that amount of gold. However, if it's anything else, pretty much, it's quick and easy. Just disenchant it, and that's making some extra income. So those are two quick methods. Sell whatever in the chest or disenchant it. And then you got some items off the drop that are actually giving you some good gold. The next way to make money is actually to sell the buffs. And so selling the buffs is pretty easy. Basically, you invite people, as long as you did the freezing technique and you kill the Reavers, they don't have to have any invis pots. You want to make sure, though, if they do need an invis pot, that you have invis pots ready for them, or you give them that heads up in advance that they will need an invis pot. Now, they could have the wandering eyes that they need to kill on the way, so that is something to be cognizant of, but it should be good to go. So as long as you froze everything, they just have a clear path running through here. And so how is the best method to sell them? Well, I have a quick and easy strategy that I use. So the very first thing I do is I set up a macro that says, our latest DM buff service is open, whisper DM invite for an auto invite. Tips appreciated, no invis pot needed. So if you have Leatrix Plus, what you can actually do is you can have auto invites going out. And so you can set up auto invites with this social tab, invite from whispers, and then you can change it into a special keyword. So you can change it into banana, whatever you want to change the invite word to. You change that invite word, and then whenever somebody whispers you with that, they automatically get invited. And so in the actual message, then I say, whisper this for an auto invite. And then if they whisper me that, auto invite it into the group. The second thing that I do is I put up a do not disturb. And so here you can see that all I do is I post in looking for group and world, this macro, just click it once and it automatically posts, and then we're good to go. And then people are going to whisper me, DM invite, automatically get invited. If in the event that they don't whisper me DM invite and they have some other question or something like that, or they just say, hey, can I get buffs? Because some people don't read it and they just see DM buff and then they automatically whisper you. I also have a do not disturb set up. And so my do not disturb says, whisper DM invite for auto invite. Feel free to come get buffs and mail tip if I'm AFK. This is nice because, you know, let's say you had to go get a drink, right? And you missed the trade window. You don't want to waste other people's time. You don't want them sitting there just waiting to get buffs for a while. And so by saying this, they can actually come in, get the buffs, and then mail you a tip if they like to mail you a tip. I also say that I typically would just say tips appreciated. I wouldn't say tips are mandated or set a certain price, because sometimes you're going to get 5 gold, sometimes you're going to get 10 gold, sometimes you're going to get 20 gold. You never know. And sometimes people are going to give you 0 gold if they don't have the gold to spend, and that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to wash out to about a 5 gold tip on average. And so it's just an easy way to make money. Let them tip whatever they want. That's my personal opinion. But if you guys want to charge a specific amount, just make sure that you are upfront about that and tell them at a specific cost. But that is 3 quick ways to make a lot of money with this. If you want to keep on running the runs really quick with the disenchanting, if you get really quick with the actual clear, you can do this really quick and you can make about 100 gold an hour, 150 gold an hour just by doing the run itself, not even selling buffs. That way you don't need to worry about buffs themselves. If you want to sell the items and you want to do the DM buffs, you have some hours where you're going to make 100 gold. You have some hours where you're going to make 0. Some you might even make 200 gold an hour. It's very dependent. But I will say that on reset days, so Tuesday for the US, Wednesday for the EU, that is going to be a major day for a lot of people buying buffs. Saturday as well, because a lot of people on Saturday like to just stock up on their buffs for the week and then just raid log. Currently, a lot of people are raid logging, but you know, if they work during the week, it's sometimes hard to get buffs. So they use Saturday as a way to get those buffs. And so that's another good option. Some gear definitely helps with this pool, but you can do this in blues. So don't feel like you need some crazy gear. The gear that I do have though is 4-piece Dragon Stalker and 2-piece Giant Stalker. So I do have some good gear for sure to be running through this, but you can do this with any gear. Overall, it just means that it's going to take a little bit more time for the boss, but the gear doesn't really help a ton before that. There is one thing that definitely does help though with the clear as far as gear goes, and that is the ZG necklace. And so Maelstrom's Wrath, as you can see here, decreases the cooldown of Feigned Death by 2 seconds. So that actually is really helpful to have for the actual pool itself. And then if you want to have, you know, engineering trinkets, or if you want to have a trinket, for example, you can have the Shadow Resist trinket to reflect cripple, or Shadow Bolt if you ever get hit by Shadow Bolt. And you can also have the trinket itself from PvP to get out of cripple if you ever get hit by cripple. Outside of that though, there's nothing too gear dependent. It just takes you a little bit longer to kill the boss, but you're going to be perfectly fine anyways. So the last thing I want to talk about is the talents themselves. So I'm doing this in my pure PvE build, but if you do want to use a specific build for this run, you can. Now for this build, this is just like the standard. I'm going to go into a raid and do this build, but I do not have the survival talents for hit because I'm already hit capped, so I don't need them. There is, however, a specific strat, and that is called the basic DMT strat as I have it. And so I'll have these both exported down below so you guys can copy them in the description. But this goes into survival talents and picks up improved Feigned Death. And so as you can see here, we have the deterrence, which allows us to pop deterrence in case we need to make sure that we're not taking any damage. And then improved Feigned Death, which means reduces the chance your Feigned Death will get resisted by 4%. This is only really helpful on Gordok himself, but you don't really need it if you line of sight or outrange him. You should be perfectly fine. However, if you want to play it a little bit safer, you can use this. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to kill the actual boss because, as you can see, you don't have range weapon specialization and true shot aura. It does, however, also give you pathfinding, which means you run 6% quicker. So it has its benefits, it has its cons. Use whichever spec works for you, but if you don't want to respec, you do not have to. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.